According to local reports, a man was out just walking his dog.
And ultimately, they stumble across this strange 3-foot creature lying in the snow.
3 black circles cross in front of the moon. And almost as soon as they pass, even more come into frame.
Russia has shocked the world by releasing a banned video that experts claim was never intended for public view. The footage, locked away for decades in government vaults, reveals scenes so unsettling that several investigators reportedly began panicking during the first private screening.
This is Utsi, one of the oldest and best preserved intact human bodies ever found.
From alien remains to mysterious smoke rings,
Governments are involved in some sort of secret atmospheric program. Is that what's going on here? Or maybe these are alien ships masquerading as clouds.
these are the darkest and most controversial discoveries ever uncovered in Russia. Secret facility alien footage. A grainy black and white video just surfaced online, allegedly leaked straight from deep inside a classified Russian archive. It showed what appeared to be a non-human entity being wheeled through a blindingly sterile corridor by two expressionless medical staff. The figure was tall and emaciated. Its skin was almost translucent, and its head was grotesquely enlarged like something born in a lab or pulled from another world. At first, everyone laughed. People called it a movie prop, a prank, or just another viral stunt. But the laughter died when the original uploader disappeared. Their accounts wiped within hours. The video vanished across every major platform. What remained were only screenshots and whispers. Those who saw the full footage said it looked disturbingly real. The creature's faint breathing, the small twitch of its limbs, and the strange calm of the doctors made it almost unbearable to watch. Even the flicker of the overhead lights matched real Soviet-era medical facilities. Experts who examined the surviving frame said if it was CGI, it wasn't modern. It was old. Too old to fake so perfectly, and no government ever acknowledged it. Yet patterns emerged. The hallway matched designs from a decommissioned Soviet bioresearch center near Omsk. The staff uniforms bore insignias used by Cold War virology units. That was when people realized this wasn't just some random leak. It was a deliberate release. The Kremlin had cracked open something buried for decades, maybe centuries, to send a message no one could fully read. Theories spread like wildfire. Some said the creature wasn't extraterrestrial at all, but a genetic experiment from Stalin's secret hybrid program.
It was a genetic engineering and the changing of the DNA within human beings.
Others claimed it was the remains of something recovered from the Tunguska blast, preserved in cryogenic storage. Whatever it was never meant to be seen. And that's the question no one can shake. Why now? Why did Russia, after years of silence, suddenly allow this horror to surface? Was it a warning to the West, or proof of something darker, something ancient, something they could no longer keep buried? The mysterious creature discovered in Siberia. A woman from the Tunguska region found a small gray creature lying half-buried in the snow. It was about 3 feet tall, with smooth skin like a dolphin, and a face that looked like it had skipped a few steps in evolution. She said the creature had no hair, no clothes, and no sense of modesty. It just looked frozen in place, like someone had hit pause on its life.
It had a sort of a dark grayish skin color, no hair or sort of noticeable facial features to recognize.
The strangest part was that she found it not far from where a mysterious explosion flattened thousands of trees in 1908. This tragic incident, known as the Tunguska event, has been blamed on everything from meteors to aliens to a really bad chemistry experiment gone wrong. Word spread quickly, but before anyone could confirm her story, neighbors reported seeing men in official-looking coats swarm the area and leave with a black case that many believed contained the mysterious creature. Some locals think it was an alien crash victim. Others say it was a new animal species that just didn't survive the cold.
And it also doesn't have the formed chin and cranium of a human.
To this day, no one has seen any official photos, DNA results, or research reports. Ice Maiden of the Yuk Plateau. The world was stunned when a series of photographs leaked out of Russia showing what appeared to be the legendary Ice Maiden of the Yuk Plateau. The images showed a frozen body so well preserved it looked almost alive. Her skin was pale and marked with ancient tattoos.
The woman is also tattooed down both her arms, though in a slightly different style.
Her hair still resting against her shoulders, and her eyes half open as if she had never truly died. The photos were traced to a secure Russian archive that was never meant for public release. No one knows who leaked them or why they appeared now after decades of silence.
Вот эта мумия, она выпадала, так сказать, из общего ряда мумий найденных.
The woman in the images was identified as belonging to the Pazyryk culture, a group known for complex burial rituals and their fear of disturbing the dead. Locals in the Altai Mountains had long warned outsiders not to remove her from the ice. They said she was a protector of the mountains and that moving her would bring disaster.
Засуха, все катаклизмы связывают часто с ними Алтай.
The scientists who excavated her in the 1990s ignored the warning. After her removal, reports of strange weather and tremors spread through the region. Storms formed without warning, lightning hit near the dig site, and crops failed across nearby villages. The government dismissed it all as coincidence, but the locals did not. They said the Ice Maiden had been awakened. The Ice Maiden lies in a museum, but those who see the leaked images online describe feeling uneasy, as if the woman inside the ice is watching. Whether the leak was a political act or a warning, one thing feels certain. Whatever she represents, Russia has reminded the world that some secrets are dangerous to reveal. Frozen in time woman in Moscow. In the 2019, a video from Moscow took the internet by storm. It showed a woman standing on a busy street, completely frozen in place. Everyone else kept moving, but she stayed perfectly still mid-step for almost a minute. Her arms hung like they had forgotten how gravity worked, and her hair looked like it was being held up by invisible strings. Then, just as suddenly as she froze, she started walking again like nothing had happened. At first, everyone thought it was some kind of prank, maybe a performance artist testing people's reactions. Then video analysts started looking closely and said there was no sign of editing. That's when theories went wild. Some said it was a glitch in the Matrix. Others said she was under hypnosis. The woman's identity was never revealed, and no one could reproduce the event. Some skeptics claimed she might have fainted or suffered a brief neurological freeze. But still, the timing, the stillness, and the casual way she walked off afterward made it all very suspicious. Lunar black circles over Moscow. In 2019, Moscow's night sky became the scene of one of the most unsettling events ever caught on camera. A local photographer went out to capture a quiet image of the moon, but instead recorded something that no one could explain.
Это что за херня? Это что за херня? Это что за нахер такой? Это...
3 enormous black circles drifted slowly across the lunar surface, each moving with unnatural precision. Their motion was too steady to be clouds and too vast to be insects or birds. As more circles appeared, the photographer realized they were not near his lens. They were near the moon itself. Astronomers later calculated that if those objects were truly at lunar distance, each one would span several miles across.
They would have to be 2 to 3 miles wide.
The footage spread quickly online, but within days the original file vanished. The photographer's account was deleted, and the local media coverage was quietly pulled. Russian astronomers refused to comment publicly. A few who did speak anonymously claimed the Defense Ministry had requested all observatory data from that night. That is when people began to suspect the phenomenon was not natural.
So who or what is capable of building so many superstructures and putting them into lunar orbit?
The orbs had moved in formation, following a pattern too deliberate to be random. Some theorists suggested the circles were part of a classified satellite experiment, perhaps connected to Russia's growing interest in lunar defense technologies.
There are a lot of spacecrafts orbiting the moon, but they're not in the same orbits and they're not in the same areas.
Others believed the orbs were not Russian at all. They could have been foreign probes or something much older, something the government recognized and chose to hide. To this day, Russia has never released an official statement. Some believe the footage was intentionally leaked years later as part of a quiet warning to other nations. Others think it was erased because what it revealed was never meant for the public. The only certainty is that something crossed the moon that night, and someone in Russia wanted it forgotten. Perfect smoke ring and mysterious boom.
You know, sometimes you see something your friends will never believe. Some believe it may be part of a government conspiracy to control the weather or even our minds.
In the 2023, Moscow was shaken by a deep, unnatural explosion that rolled through the city without warning. Windows trembled, alarms went off, and moments later, witnesses saw a massive black ring forming in the sky. It hovered above the city center like a perfect circle of smoke, silent and steady against the gray clouds.
What is that? This is some crazy stuff. What's going on?
Videos captured it from several districts before it slowly drifted out of sight. The Russian government quickly issued a statement claiming it was a harmless atmospheric event caused by a pressure release. Local scientists repeated that explanation, but their words sounded rehearsed. Residents who felt the blast said it was far too powerful to be accidental.
These are hitting us in ways that are deleterious to our health and to the environment.
The boom came from underground, not from the air, and the timing was too precise to ignore. Within hours, military trucks were seen moving through the outskirts of Moscow. Access to nearby research zones was restricted. Journalists who tried to report on the event found their footage deleted or their broadcasts cut mid-air. Independent experts reviewed the footage and found no signs of tampering. Some said the formation resembled a shockwave from a controlled detonation. Others suggested it could be the result of a new type of experimental energy test conducted by the military. Conspiracy theorists went further, claiming it was connected to a classified atmospheric experiment gone wrong.
Is this a UFO?
It really is pretty cool looking. Is it some kind of unidentified object? You know, what is this ring in the sky?
The official explanation remains unchanged. It was a coincidence, a trick of the wind. But those who saw it in person say it felt like something had been released into the sky, something no one was supposed to see. Elongated skull and ancient contact. In the Chelyabinsk region, archaeologists uncovered a burial unlike anything they had seen before.
Researchers excavated 25 human skeletons dating back to between 5,000 and 12,000 years ago.
Inside the frozen soil lay the remains of a woman whose skull was unnaturally long and narrow. Tests confirmed it was not the result of binding or artificial shaping. The bone structure was natural, formed that way from birth. The discovery was immediately classified and removed from public archives. Only a few blurred images survived, showing the skull's distorted proportions and hollow eye sockets that seemed too large for a human face. Researchers who examined it described it as both human and something else entirely.
Formed skulls shows that they were humans, with no evidence that they were extraterrestrial beings.
The bone density, curvature, and cranial capacity did not match any known ancient population. Locals whispered that the woman was not from Earth. Some believed she was part of a forgotten race that once lived in the Ural Mountains. Others said she was evidence of a genetic experiment conducted during the earliest days of human civilization. Nearby artifacts deepened the mystery. Jewelry and pottery fragments bore carvings of tall figures with extended heads, standing among humans. Officials dismissed the theories as superstition, but the site was quietly sealed soon after.
What are these elongated heads? Why did they do this? You know, what do we know about this process?
Unconfirmed reports claimed that samples from the skull were sent to a private Russian laboratory under government oversight. No public results were ever released. Years later, new photographs surfaced on the dark web showing the same skull under bright laboratory lights. Analysts who studied the images claimed the bone structure displayed signs of deliberate alteration through unknown means. Whether ancient or recent, the modifications suggested intent. The skull remains locked away in an undisclosed facility. No one knows why Russia continues to restrict access, but many suspect it is because the truth about that burial would challenge everything known about human origins. 39,000-year-old woolly mammoth, Yucca.
3-meter-long female was discovered 3 years ago in Russia, but has made the trip to Japan for a special public exhibition.
In 2010, deep in the frozen wastelands of Siberia, a team of Russian scientists uncovered the body of a 39,000-year-old woolly mammoth they named Yucca. The animal's body was so well preserved that its skin, muscle tissue, and even fur remained intact. Beneath the ice, her body looked disturbingly lifelike, as if she had simply frozen mid-breath. At first, the discovery was presented as a triumph of science. Yucca offered a perfect glimpse into the Ice Age, complete with blood vessels, organs, and strands of hair that still held their original color. But as the research continued, the tone changed. Deep wounds were found along her flank and skull, consistent with tools or weapons. The marks did not belong to predators. They were clean, deliberate, and surgical. The Russian team remained quiet about their findings.
Will this frozen carcass reveal any clues to help explain the mammoth's extinction?
Rumors spread that government officials arrived at the site shortly after the discovery, confiscating samples and sealing documents. Independent researchers who requested access to the remains were denied. When limited reports leaked online, they hinted that Yucca's DNA was unlike anything seen before. Some said her blood cells contained proteins that resisted decay for millennia, suggesting manipulation long before humans understood genetics.
At the moment, everyone is in here trying to take their samples from the carcass whilst it's still frozen.
Scientists connected to the project began to disappear from public view. One geneticist reportedly left Russia altogether, claiming the research had crossed a line. Others believed Yucca's body was moved to a secure facility near Yakutsk, where attempts were made to extract viable DNA for cloning experiments. Those experiments were never officially acknowledged. The official statement calls her a preserved specimen of natural history. Yet those who have seen the original footage describe something different, a body that should not exist in such condition, and a discovery that Russia seems determined to control. Bronze Age family burial.
Over 200 bodies buried with pots at the head and feet, and thousands of beads, shells, and other objects.
In 2017, archaeologists working near the Volga River unearthed a burial site that immediately drew the attention of Russian authorities. Beneath layers of compacted earth lay the remains of a man, a woman, and an infant. The bodies were arranged in a tight embrace, their bones positioned as if they had been laid down to hold each other forever. Even hardened researchers described the scene as unsettling. When the skulls were examined, the team found traces of an unknown organic substance filling the cavities. It was not the result of decomposition or soil intrusion. It had been placed there intentionally.
One of the slightly unnerving things about this is that it looks as though you've actually got blood vessels still on the inside of the skull, but in fact they're rootless.
Laboratory analysis identified compounds not native to the Volga region, including materials found only in deep mineral deposits of the Ural Mountains. Someone had brought them there on purpose. The discovery triggered speculation within the research community. Some believed the family had been part of a lost ritual involving preservation or resurrection. Others suggested the material inside the skulls was used to seal the spirit within the body. Russian investigators soon restricted access to the site, citing national heritage protection. Samples collected before the lockdown reportedly vanished during transport to Moscow. Weeks later, local villagers reported unmarked vehicles near the excavation site. Floodlights illuminated the area through the night, and by morning, the burial pit had been filled and sealed. Officials later claimed it was for safety reasons. No further excavations were permitted. The few photos that survived show the skeletons arranged with unnatural precision. The man's arm is wrapped around the woman's shoulders, the child cradled between them. All three turned toward the rising sun. Scientists still debate whether it was an act of devotion or a ritual sacrifice. Whatever the truth, the Russian government's silence has only deepened the mystery. Siberian forest cryptid and twisted trees. Deep in the Siberian wilderness lies a forest where the trees twist into unnatural spirals, their trunks bent and contorted as if forced into shape by an unseen hand. Scientists have studied the soil, the wind, and even magnetic patterns, but none of it explains why the trees bend only in that one region. The locals say they already know why. They call it the home of the Almas, a creature said to stalk the woods long before Russia began mapping them. In 2021, a fragment of blurry, unauthorized footage surfaced on a Russian data-sharing site before being removed by officials. It showed a towering, dark figure moving through the warped trees. Its movements were disturbingly smooth, more fluid than any human stride. For a moment it stopped and turned toward the camera. The frame went white, then black. The uploader's account was deleted the same night. Experts who later analyzed a copy of the footage said the proportions of the figure did not match any known primate or man. Local hunters refused to enter the forest after sunset. They speak of howls that echo through the valleys. Sounds too low and guttural to come from wolves. Dogs panicked near the edge of the tree line and refused to go farther. The Russian Academy of Sciences dismissed the claims as folklore, but the Ministry of Natural Resources quietly designated the area off-limits for ecological safety. No one explained what that meant. Satellite images of the forest now show sections heavily distorted, as if censored. Some researchers privately believe the almas may be a surviving descendant of an ancient human species. Others think the creature might be linked to genetic experiments conducted in Soviet isolation decades ago. Mysterious freshwater creature. In a quiet corner of Russia, a deep unnamed lake has become the talk of every curious person in the country. Local divers captured eerie footage showing a strange aquatic creature that moved through the water with a long snake-like body. What made it even more bizarre were the multiple tentacle-like appendages that waved and twisted as it swam. Its head appeared to rotate in almost every direction, giving it the ability to look around nearly a full circle. It seemed like the creature was aware it was being filmed and did not appreciate the attention. Experts who reviewed the video could not find a match with any known fish, amphibian, or reptile native to those waters. It did not swim like an eel or behave like any known predator. Some biologists compared its movements to those of an octopus, which was a problem since cephalopods do not live in freshwater environments. The mystery deepened when attempts to capture the creature failed. Cameras placed underwater caught only quick flashes of movement, as if the animal was teasing researchers on purpose. One brave fisherman claimed it stole his bait and stared at him with human eyes. People visiting the lake now come armed with cameras, nets, and snacks, because you never know when the creature might make an appearance. Boris Kiprianovich, the child who remembered Mars. In 1996, a boy named Boris Kiprianovich was born in Russia. From the start, everyone could tell he was not an ordinary child. By the age of 2, he was already drawing complicated geometric patterns that puzzled his parents. He could also talk about astronomy and physics, as if he had studied them for years.
You mean the being born on the Earth or another planet? Не обязательно, до своего рождения на другой какой-то планете.
His teachers were amazed, but also a little confused. The real shock came when Borisa began claiming that he had lived before. He said that in his previous life he was not on Earth, but on Mars. He described in detail how he had been a pilot on the Red Planet. He talked about cities built with tall, shining structures and a civilization with advanced technology. He said that long wars had destroyed Mars and ruined its atmosphere, forcing survivors to seek other worlds. Experts who met Borisa were surprised by how consistent his stories were.
Original training was in geophysics and geomagnetics. He's moved on to how applying this to living organisms.
Some of the things he described lined up with real scientific theories that were not even common knowledge at the time. Skeptics argued that he might have learned these things from books or television.
This is not on television yet. No, not yet on television. Internet.
But his parents said they never taught him about space. Borisa also occasionally drew star maps and vehicles that no one recognized, and yet some of them seemed almost eerily possible. People joked that if he was right, humans might one day meet his former Martian neighbors. Whether or not his memories were real, he fascinated everyone around him and made the world feel just a little bigger and a little stranger. Batagika Crater, the gateway to the underworld. In the frozen heart of Siberia lies the Batagika Crater, a colossal wound in the earth that locals call the gateway to the underworld. It stretches over 300 meters wide and nearly 90 meters deep, and it grows larger every year as the permafrost collapses. The ground caves in without warning, swallowing forests, rivers, and the remains of whatever once stood above. From above, it looks less like a crater and more like something burst upward from below. Officially, Russian scientists call it a thermokarst depression, a symptom of climate change. Unofficially, those who have worked near it tell a darker story. Several research drones have been lost to unexplained malfunctions, their signals cutting out the moment they descend into the crater's shadow. A few expeditions have returned early, citing equipment failure, though leaked logs mention violent vibrations beneath the ground and mechanical distortion on recording devices. Local Yakut people have long warned that the crater is cursed. They say it opened after something ancient was disturbed deep under the permafrost. Witnesses claim to have heard deep metallic groans rising from the pit at night, like the sound of doors opening underground. A research technician in 2018 allegedly recorded a series of low-frequency sounds that Russian authorities classified and removed from public archives within hours. The data was never released. Some suspect the crater is being monitored not for safety, but for containment. Those who have stood near its edge describe a constant vibration in the air and a feeling that the Earth is breathing. The crater continues to expand, devouring new ground each year, as if something beneath Siberia is slowly forcing its way out. Locals avoid the area completely now. They say the voices in the crater are growing louder, and that the government knows exactly what lies beneath, but they would never say. Alashinka, the mysterious mummified creature. In 1996, a woman walking near a cemetery in the Russian town of Kishime stumbled upon something that changed her life forever. She found a small mummified creature about 10 centimeters long. It had brownish-gray skin, a rigid skull, and large round eyes that seemed to see everything around it. It had no ears, no nose, and most puzzling of all, no navel. Scientists could not identify it as human or animal. At first, people thought it might be a deformed fetus. However, doctors quickly dismissed that theory because the bone structure was too unusual. The discovery site was near the Mac nuclear facility, which had experienced a major radiation accident in 1957. That fact sparked rumors that radiation might have created a strange mutation. UFO investigators soon became interested and took the tiny body for testing. Then the creature vanished. There were no public reports, no lab results, and no official explanations. It was as if someone had erased all evidence. Conspiracy theorists said it was proof of alien life. Others joked that it ran away to avoid being dissected. Some even suggested it might return one day to start its own small civilization. Viral mystery in Russia. On January 25, 2023, a short video surfaced on Russian social media before spreading to TikTok and other platforms. It showed what appeared to be a massive winged statue buried deep inside an abandoned mine near Amur Oblast. The figure had a sword, a shield, and wings carved with eerie precision. The clip was silent, except for a low hum that some viewers later claimed was not part of the original recording. Within hours, the miners who filmed it were briefly interviewed, and then they stopped responding to calls. Their accounts were deleted, and the original video was wiped from Russian platforms. Investigators later confirmed that a sculpture was indeed recovered from the site, but it was quickly moved to an undisclosed facility. The few photos that survived show symbols etched into the wings resembling ancient Slavic writing. Independent researchers who examined still frames claimed the object radiated heat even in freezing temperatures. Authorities called the entire incident a misunderstanding and warned citizens not to share unauthorized archaeological material. Despite the censorship, copies of the video continue to circulate in underground Russian forums. Some believe the statue was never a sculpture at all. Others think it was something buried to stay hidden until Russia decided to let the world see it now as a silent message that Russia possesses knowledge or discoveries far older and more dangerous than anyone suspects. What do you think about these discoveries? Comment down below.